This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
The speed that climate change is happening is caused by humans. Instead of happening on timescales of millions of years, or let's say 15,000 years, it's happening on the timescale of decades and now years.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones.
Without human activity, how long would it have taken for us to reach this level of warmth in our climate?
It's not clear that it would have happened. In other words, humans have changed the climate so drastically that we have almost certainly avoided another ice age. There would have been another ice age. Ain't gonna happen because of you and me.
People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth.
If there was a slogan that defined the actions of power-hungry agents of the monstrosity known as government, it would be, never let a good crisis go to waste.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
It's through the popularization and propagandizing of crisis that state actors seek to gain more wealth and control. After all, that's what the word government etymologically means, to control the mind or mind control. So the Chicken Little story of the freaked out little bird telling all his buddies that the sky is falling and we must tell the king takes shape every time you see a climate change cult member appear on your screen trying to sell their snake oil tonic of we must do somethingism. If we don't do something, the ice caps will continue to melt, they say. If we don't do something, the oceans will rise. If we don't do something, large portions of Florida will be a new part of the ocean floor. Or we only have 11 years left. And the insane psychopathic criminals are so bent on acquiring more money and power that they exploit children as their front men in order to play on the emotions of the unsuspecting masses. Here's the deal. I want clean air. I want clean oceans and clean water to drink. And so do you. And of course, I don't want any of my friends in any coastal area to lose their homes or their lives. But do I believe NASA and government-funded scientists are telling us the truth? No way. If there's one thing we should all know by now, it's that the government not only doesn't tell the truth, they literally specialize in lying, cheating, and stealing. And according to the admission of top-level officials, they have whole training courses on lying, cheating, and stealing.
I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses. It reminds you of the glory of the American experiment.
What you talking about, Will?
This testimony from Pompeo is true, and it's not just limited to the CIA. Lying, cheating, and stealing saturates and undergirds all of what government is all about. So NASA tells us the climate will kill us and it's our fault. Mainstream media is telling us that we need to do something now, and that it's our fault. Certain politicians are pushing for crazy crap like the $93 trillion Green New Deal that basically sanctions even more theft through additional unsustainable taxation of the American people. And the so-called climate scientists can't even definitively tell us that human activities are the primary cause of this catastrophic situation. This is from NASA. Quote, 90% of climate scientists agree that climate warming trends over the past century are extremely likely due to human activities. Not definitely, likely. And most of the leading scientific organizations worldwide have issued public statements endorsing this position. What position? The position of likelihood. And what if this climate change thing is true? Then logically, we need to eliminate the largest gross polluters the planet has ever seen. Government. Without government, we would all have much cleaner air, cleaner oceans, and cleaner drinking water. So if you're really worried about the climate, then you should be marching in the streets to eliminate government. But they won't do that because government is what empowers climate strikes. Later, NASA says this: the current warming trend is of particular significance because most of it is extremely likely, greater than 95% probability, to be the result of human activity since the mid-20th century and proceeding at a rate that is unprecedented over decades to millennia? Here's my first thought. Historically, when a high percentage of people, called the majority, says something is a certain way and we should do a certain thing and this solution will yield certain desired results, it usually ends up being devastatingly wrong. Translation: the majority is almost always wrong and rarely ever right. You want examples? The majority was convinced in the 1920s that we should have alcohol prohibition, that it would make society more moral. The majority was wrong. Way wrong. Crime increased and society took a serious hit. The majority was convinced by the government that we should get involved in the Vietnam conflict based on the revealed deception of the Gulf of Tonkin false flag. And of course, the majority was wrong. Dead wrong. More than 59,000 Americans died. Over 1.5 million others died. An incalculable amount of deadly gases and CO2 was emitted into the atmosphere. So much for wanting to clean up the climate, hey, government? The majority was convinced by the Nixon and Reagan administrations that public enemy number one was drugs in society and that we needed to wage an all-out offensive. They then initiated the drug war. Well, the majority was wrong again. The majority was scared into believing that we needed to trust the government and launch another war after 9/11. Trillions of dollars were and are still being wasted. Crazy amounts of carbon are still being released into the atmosphere. Innumerable lives were lost and freedoms were stripped. Time and time again, the government tells us we must do something. And the something they convince us into doing ends with way more loss of life than if we had done nothing. Oh, and it exponentially adds to the pollution in the atmosphere. Guys, we could go on for days with this. The point is, even if climate change was as urgent as they say it is, even if it did have everything to do with human activity, the last thing any sane person would ever want to do is put the government in charge of stealing more of our wealth in a destructive attempt to make things right, when whatever government puts its hand to goes horribly wrong. The government is so inept and corrupt and so dishonest and wasteful that if they were in charge of the desert, it wouldn't take long for them to run out of sand. So given the track record of government, and given the lying ways of mainstream media, maybe the best thing to do is nothing. Just be good stewards of the air that you breathe and of the oceans and streams and lands that surround you. But for God's sake, don't believe the BS the government and mainstream media keep shoveling out, because trusting them has never worked out for the benefit of anybody but the government elites. Help me beat YouTube censorship by liking and sharing this video with everybody you know. And before you go, check out our new shirt designs in the shirt store. Here's the Beta Hates America design. Hell no, you're not taking my AR-15. And nobody needs an AR-15. Well, nobody needs a whiny little bitch either. And yet, here you are. And against all enemies, Democrat and Republican. There are over 90 other kick-ass designs in the store and the links in the description. Your purchase supports the message of freedom on this channel. If you get something out of this content, help me beat YouTube's censorship algorithms by liking and sharing this video. And while you're here, why not watch a couple more of my videos? Until next time, stand firm, stay vigilant, and for the sake of all that is right and good, stop giving your rights away to tyrannical psychopaths who want to destroy this country.